Story 1. Say nice things about people behind their backs as well as to their faces. Dropping in a casual comment like, "That Mike, he's really considerate and patient," makes you look observant, positive, and interested in people. People will think better of you if you point out good things about others. It's the opposite of someone who always speaks negatively behind people's backs. You end up leaving those negative conversations thinking, "Ugh, I wonder what she says about me behind my back," instead of, "I hope she talks about me like that behind my back." Story 2. As a retail manager, most people who have complaints simply want to be heard. 9 times out of 10, I listen to their concerns, and they thank me and leave quietly. Story 3. Mirroring someone's energy level works like magic. If they are excited, match that vibe. If they are calm and thoughtful, slow down your pace. People feel more comfortable around others who match their wavelength. Story 4. The last impression is a lasting impression. Leave meetings or any kind of interaction on a high note. Give a genuine compliment, make people laugh, ask people to explain something, and genuinely thank them. If every time people talk to you, they walk away happier, your life and work will be easier and better. Story 5. To get through a massive standing crowd, turn sideways, stick your leading arm out, and go gently, touching and bumping people as you move. They will naturally be curious about the bump and turn, creating a spot for you to move through. Repeat without stopping. You will traverse the whole crowd very quickly. Story 6. Asking people how they would do it makes your work easier and gives people comfort. Always try to listen to people with the thought, "I might learn something new here," and let people finish. I was not doing this for 30 years, and since I started, my whole life has changed. Story 7. Manners and your appearance matter much more than you think. These 2 attributes can open or close many doors depending on how you present yourself. Story 8. People love to talk about themselves, so when in doubt, ask them questions about themselves. They will appreciate it. Story 9. If you feel like you are too quiet and things are awkward when you socialize, it is because other people can tell you feel uncomfortable, so they do too. Once I started pretending I was confident, pretending I was interesting, and pretending I did not care what other people thought. Others became relaxed around me and things no longer felt awkward. Just fake it. Story 10. I use a 3-point technique for gaining fans and expertise points at work, just by being nice. First, frame things as a we. Second, find a harmless common enemy that reinforces the we. Third, and most important, make them feel smart and preserve their ego. You will find yourself being listened to and seen as a good collaborator or leader quickly. People love being reinforced and affirmed. They do not like having their ego bruised. By giving affirmation, you subtly place yourself in a more powerful position. Example: someone asks you for help with a procedure in Salesforce. Tell them, "Let's take a look." "Okay, I think first we need to." Reframing. Salesforce can be annoying to use sometimes. The navigation is unclear. Harmless common enemy. You were 99% there. It was just this little thing that slowed your progress. Honestly, this trips up many people. Reinforce that they are not a dummy for asking for help. People remember how you helped them, but mostly how you made them feel good about it. This reinforces your position. They will return to you for guidance, tell others you are great at what you do, and over time you build a reputation for being competent, smart, and a go-to person, even if you are not that advanced beyond the rest. In summary, gain influence and social capital by making people feel good about themselves. It seems obvious, but many leaders fail because they give corrections and instructions in an ego-busting way that makes people avoid or resent them. Story 11. There are many people who think that saying something confidently will allow them to get away with saying anything, even if it is completely incorrect. Be cautious of them and of anyone who believes them without a second thought. Story 12. In medium to large meetings with 3 or more people, keep your mouth shut unless you are running the meeting or have significant new information to add to the conversation. When you do have important information, make a point of sharing it while the topic is relevant. There are many times when people monologue in large billable meetings, which is completely unnecessary. Often, one person will go off topic and not contribute. Allow the meeting leader to actually lead the meeting. Story 13. It is better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt. Abraham Lincoln. Story 14. In a group, if someone gets cut off, circle back to them. Let the other person finish or say a reasonable amount if they are talking too much. Acknowledge the interrupting person's comments politely. For example, say, "Yes, good point. But John, what were you saying?" The interrupted person will often remember this, and in a group, it can happen to everyone at some point. This shows that you are thoughtful too. Story 15. When a question or statement pops into your head when you encounter someone, like a coffee shop worker, pause and think about how many times this person hears the same comment. Is what you have to say original? Or do you have to listen to yourself because they are there and cannot move away from you? Story 16. If you think you are a bad dancer, fall back on the simplest thing you can think of and smile. You might not become a good dancer, but people will see you looking happy and moving. You will be amazed at how much people are attracted to that perception of happiness and fun. Story 17. If someone asks you a question unexpectedly and it does not seem to apply to you, they probably want you to ask it back to them. As a rule of thumb, mirroring conversational questions will help you get along nicely. For example, how was your weekend? Fine, how was yours? Oh, I did X, Y, and Z. Story 18. In most circles, whether family, work, or friends, there is usually one person who openly criticizes others. I call them the critic. For some reason, everyone in the circle tends to value their opinion and strives to make themselves look good to the critic. Story 19. Act like you are confident and no one will question it, even though you are secretly freaking out on the inside. Story 20. If someone is mad to the point of screaming, talking very softly quiets them down and calms them a bit. I learned that as a social worker. Story 21. Memorize the names of people you often interact with and greet them by name when you see them, such as local salespeople from stores you visit or secretaries and security personnel at your workplace. Their attitude toward you will often improve significantly and may benefit you in the long run, especially if you encounter a problem they can help with. Story 22. Treat small talk like a conversation with a non-player character. Keep clicking the dialogue button. You will learn more about the people you talk to, and everyone loves talking about themselves. Did you get up to much on the weekend? Yes, I went to the cinema. What movie did you see? XYZ. Did you like it? Yes. What did you like about it? Etc. Story 23. Act genuinely curious about people. Not in a fake way, but just ask them questions. People love talking about themselves when they feel like someone is actually listening. When you remember little things they said the next time you see them, you basically unlock bonus points in their brain. Story 24. Compliment people. If you notice they just got a haircut, compliment it. If you are at a friend's house and you like how they have decorated, compliment it. If you are playing in a recreational sports league and are impressed with the play of a teammate or opponent, compliment them. People like validation. Story 25. When a person describes an experience they had, most people jump in with their own experience. For example, I got in a car crash, and the response, oh, I got in a car crash too. Instead, ask them about their experience instead of just talking about yourself. Story 26. I was in a large crowd of people and noticed through eavesdropping on a group near me that it is true. You can significantly improve your storytelling and presence in a group by eliminating words like, and other filler words from your sentences. Everyone was sharing stories, and the one person who used many filler words quickly lost the group's interest. Pay attention to people in your life who tell good stories or command a strong presence. The more you use non-descriptive or tentative words, the more you seem unsure. Also, do not rush through your story. Allow people to make comments. Story 27. A question you have to ask yourself is this person happy for me, or are they secretly in competition? Story 28. Saying, I understand. When someone is telling you something does not require actual understanding. You just have to say it. Story 29. When people laugh, they instinctively look at the person they like most in the group, whether romantically or not, to see if that person is laughing too. Story 30. If they have a recent tattoo, especially if it is very elaborate, ask them about it or compliment it. The same applies to their manicure, hairstyle, or any controllable aspect of their self-presentation that looks like it took a lot of time. I did not learn this from observation, but I have used it successfully for starting conversations, creating rapport, or just brightening a person's day. Edited to emphasize self-presentation rather than appearance. Story 31. People always go to whatever has a line because they think it is an endorsement. If you go to a place without a line often forms behind you. The line is not an endorsement most of the time. It is just herd behavior. I worked at a newspaper stand on weekends when I was young, and when there were two piles of one newspaper, one would usually run out quickly while the other was barely touched. However, it would not be the same pile every week. Story 32. If you want to maintain any relationship with someone you do not know very well, always acknowledge their presence when you see them around. This works especially well in school and college, where classes are not as social, making it harder to make friends than in high school. Remember people's names. If you forget, ask right away. Say their name when you see them around. Even if it is just a wave and a hi. Name. Even if you do not see yourself becoming better friends with someone, you will feel better and give yourself a little bit of dopamine just by saying hi in passing. It will build your social confidence. Story 33. I'm not often in social situations outside of work or home because I'm not a very social person, but I know what works there. Stand up for people. Praise friends and family members to their face and behind their backs when deserved, of course. Listen to someone when they just want to talk. Don't make it about you. I have problems with that last one. Not the listening part, but I often find myself telling a long story about myself or explaining a relevant scene from a show or movie with context in response to something someone said to show that I understand what they're talking about. If someone at work did or said something and wasn't recognized, point it out in a way that won't make them uncomfortable. I have messaged or emailed managers to let them know something good one of their employees did, and I bring it up in meetings, especially when there are hard numbers showing that their actions had real benefits. If someone in a meeting or group conversation is trying to make a good point but gets talked over, or worse, someone else presents the same thing they said 2 minutes ago, bring the conversation back to them. If you are told something in confidence, keep it. If someone helped you with something and you get praised for it, share the credit and name them. Costs you nothing. If someone at a store, restaurant, or other public service situation really helps you, tell their boss or send feedback to their company. This can be very impactful. Story 34. Ask people's names. Even if you might never see them again or if you won't remember, be honest and laugh with them the next time you see them. Always ask their name and formally introduce yourself. This has helped me a lot and opened many doors. People really appreciate being acknowledged like that. Also, be very polite and treat people with respect. Story 35. If in an argument or disagreement, just do not talk unnecessarily. Do not fill silence in the conversation with unnecessary justification or positioning. I use this with customers who want to complain about our price on an estimate or similar situations. I simply wait through any awkward silence for an actual question or something that requires a response. This takes the wind out of their sails. Story 36. Asking for permission when someone is angry or sad is important, especially in customer service. Saying something like, "Thank you for sharing your experience. Is it okay if I pass this along to the appropriate team?" You do not technically need their permission in most instances, but it allows them to feel a sense of control when they were likely upset because they lost it. I also ask, "Is it okay if I give you some background information?" when I am about to explain why something happened. Sometimes I get a no, and that is fine. I respect it. But if the answer is yes, they are already preparing themselves to hear an explanation. Asking for permission where I can has de-escalated 99% of the issues that escalate to me because I am a manager. Story 37. Not caring about failing to close is the key to talking to anybody and selling yourself. This applies to approaching women, sales, meeting interesting people, making deals, getting a job, and being invited to events. Story 38. If you want to navigate a conversation, pick spots on the other party's face for maximum efficiency. A spot in the middle of the forehead just above the eyes signifies dominance. The tip of the nose is suitable for casual conversation. Lips indicate demure energy. This will make people sympathize with what you are saying, showing a subservient position. Never break eye contact if you are making a serious point, but always break eye contact if you are being asked a serious question, as it implies thoughtfulness. Story 39. Being kind to people in general is a great strategy. What you put out into the world is generally returned in kind. Story 40. I notice people move out of the way of someone walking who is not looking forward. They think the person is not paying attention and will be bumped into. I use this method all the time, but I am paying attention. I look away in busy crowds, and oncoming people move out of the way. It is much easier with sunglasses. My eyes are forward, but sunglasses make it look like I am looking away. I am not rude about it. I mainly use it at busy events such as concerts or sporting events when people occupy an entire walkway. It works best at supermarkets when people clog a whole aisle. Story 41. Carry a piece of paper at work. Walk a little faster than normal. No one will ask you to talk or delay you. Story 42. If you are addressing multiple people at once, acknowledge everyone in the group by eye contact, hand gestures, or other means. Do not leave anyone out. It helps with group cohesion and is a kind gesture. Everyone wants to feel acknowledged and important. If someone is trying to speak, always give them a chance to share their thoughts. Otherwise, they may feel left out and become frustrated. Story 43. Giving someone food and sharing a meal, or even just offering, is a great way to quickly build rapport with a new person. Story 44. Ask for small favors. People only do things for people they like, and when they do you a favor, they will think they have always liked you. Story 45. I have been saving this. When someone is evasive or even lying to you, it is normal. People do this now and then. However, while they are not giving you the information you want, they are revealing interesting things about what they value and how they see the world. It is not just that they are willing to lie or be evasive. This is true in general. There are two tracks of information in a conversation. One is conveyed by the subject matter, and the other by how it is formatted and presented. Story 46. When an older woman tells you it is her birthday, guess that she is 28. Everyone loves this joke, and it makes people feel happy. Story 47. If someone tries to control how you feel before they explain what they did, they are manipulating you. Real people own their actions. Manipulators turn it into guilt, confusion, or pity before the truth enters the room. Watch their order of operations. 1. Trigger your emotion. 2. Blur the facts. 3. Make you question yourself. Learn that sequence and you will spot them before they even finish their sentence. Story 48. In any room, act as if you belong there already. Exude confidence. If you are at a function with a bar, order a drink as if you do so daily. Story 49. If someone is into sports, you don't need to be. Just listen to or watch a 5-minute podcast or YouTube video for each game and use it as a conversation starter. Most of the time, you only need to say something like, "Did you see the game at the weekend? I can't believe X was so bad or good." And that's enough to get the person talking to you. Story 50. If you want people to like you, mirror their energy. If you want people to believe your story, include a part that makes you look bad. Saying, "I tutor orphans because I love helping," is less believable than, "I was trying to win this girl over, so I started tutoring orphans. She wasn't that impressed, but I fell in love with it, so I kept doing it because it is very rewarding." You get the same result, but now they believe you. Story 51. Sometimes being adorably pathetic but kind and apologetic about it will get you a lot of help from strangers under certain circumstances. Story 52. A secret to making people like you is to make them feel heard. When they mention something about themselves or a problem they are facing, ask them questions, encourage them to elaborate, and show interest in what the other person is saying. Some people do this intentionally and make others fall for their fake empathy. Compliments also do wonders. If you want to make friends with someone, you have to make the first move. For example, ask them to hang out or have coffee together. This can be difficult if you feel awkward and insecure, so you might wait for others to give you a sign that they enjoy your company. The truth is, people like attention. They will hang out with those who give them the most attention, and it is as simple as that. I still have no close friends. Story 53. If you want something, you have to turn it and make it about the other person. For example, if you want to leave, say, I will let you get going. I will not keep you long. Or if you want to start eating, say, if you are ever hungry, let me know. Story 54. I learned to be very nice and polite to patients and nurses, even though I am very tired and burned out. I always smile and go out of my way to help, even wheeling some patients from the emergency room to the radiology department myself. I get questioning looks from fellow doctors, and some even tell me, you know you do not have to do that, right? Yes, I do. Story 55. Many people speak more to impress than to listen. When you realize this, it allows you to know when to speak and when to remain silent. Story 56. If someone laughs after they say something, you should try to fake a laugh as well. It tends to make people more comfortable. Story 57. People love to talk about themselves. Ask questions. Listen intently. Remember things and bring them up later. Also, fake your confidence. Act as if you belong in any room you walk into, and nobody will question you. Story 58. If you are at an incredibly loud concert and want to hear your friend next to you, just plug your ear closest to them and lean in. You will hear them every time, and they do not even have to scream. It does get a little weird when you do this for your friends so they can hear you, but I hate ruining my voice because someone cannot hear me. Story 59. When many people are walking toward you, keep moving forward steadily with your eyes slightly down, so no one can tell if you are looking at them. That way, you do not have to step aside, and they make room for you. Story 60. Understand the spotlight fallacy. People are not noticing or thinking about you as much as you believe. Story 61. Laughing and making fun of yourself when someone mocks you makes people like you. Conversely, getting upset when they mock you makes them dislike you and continue to bully you. Story 62. If you do not know what to say next but want someone to tell their stories, remember the most. Circle back to the topic you just discussed and use the format. But what is the most adjective verb? What is the most interesting book you have read lately? That gets things going. Story 63. People instinctively point their body toward the person with whom they feel most comfortable in a group setting. If you want to know who is riding with whom, look at their toes and shoulders for an easy giveaway. Story 64. Demonstrating even the bare minimum of manners makes you very memorable, especially in places you visit regularly. Story 65. You do not have to listen to someone talk. You can just turn around and walk away. If you do this enough, you will not be invited to anything. Story 66. Patience. Literally, being patient in any interaction goes so far. As a person with anxiety, it was difficult, but I surpass my mind and just tell myself to be patient, and everything comes as it should. Do not overreact, do not overthink. Just wait. Story 67. If you feel awkward, you can just say so. Nothing relieves tension quite like voicing exactly what you are thinking or feeling. Story 68. Listening to Reddit can quickly harm your social life. Remember, we are all here posting poor opinions in response to questions like this. Truly sociable people are too busy to waste time on this. Story 69. Mimic their behavior when conversing. If they nod, nod with them. If they smile, smile back. They will trust you faster. Story 70. I learned that smiling genuinely and making eye contact instantly puts people at ease. Asking thoughtful follow-up questions shows you are really listening and makes conversations flow. Story 71. Introduce yourself to someone using as few words as possible. Pay attention to their accent when they respond. Mimic their accent and body posture to instantly gain more likability with strangers. Do not ask people what they want. Present them with options. They are more likely to choose an option. For example, when asking someone on a date, do not ask if they would like to get a drink sometime. Instead, ask if they would like to get one this Friday or if Saturday would work better. They are more likely to consider only the options presented. Story 72. Want to make people like you? Get them to talk about themselves. Pick something they said, then ask them how it works, and make them feel they are sharing something valuable with you. Be genuinely interested or pretend to be interested. If people are angry with you, ask them to do something small for you. They will soften. Story 73. Many people speak more to impress than to listen. When you realize this, it allows you to know when to speak and when to remain silent. Story 74. A great way to start a conversation with someone is to compliment them on something they are wearing. Story 75. Volume of voice can significantly impact how you are perceived. Additionally, varying your tone and speed of voice can positively influence how you are viewed. Story 76. People will tell you what they want to talk about. If they allude to something or bring it up without much context, it is your opportunity to ask them to elaborate. Story 77. Want to engage in a conversation without knowing anything about what is being discussed? Just ask questions. For example, what is the best part about being a job or role in a hobby they have? Or say, I actually do not know much about topic. What can you tell me about it? Bonus points if it is a hobby or special interest, as they will probably be delighted to talk about something they are really passionate about. Also, if people have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder or some kind of social neurodivergence, if you lose track of the conversation, just ask them to repeat what they said. Odds are they will be more offended if you pretend like you know what is going on rather than letting them know that you need a repeat. Story 78. This works much better with toddlers. When you are giving options, present the option you want them to choose last. They are more likely to pick that. It also serves as a test to determine whether your toddler is actually making a choice or just repeating what you are saying. Offer the options in different orders and observe if they simply copy the last one or provide a consistent answer. Story 79. I taught myself the different head nods men use to acknowledge each other. Head down nod. I don't know you, but I do see you. Head up nod. I do know you and I do see you. Head up with extended arm and hand. They are friends. Side nod with a short wave. Their families probably spend time together often. I am missing one, but I cannot remember what it is. I learned this by working at a home improvement store for a few years. Story 80. If you want to convince someone to do something, ask them when they are groggy and tired from sleep. They are more likely to say yes because they want to go back to sleep. Story 81. Silently listening to angry people with a small smile. I worked in customer support and this works wonders. Story 82. If someone is upset because you disagree, mention something that you both agree on, even if it is only slightly related. They will forget about being upset, and you will keep your friendship. Story 83. Some things you cannot learn by being told. Some things one needs to figure out by oneself. Not being able to tell people because it will disturb their understanding of the unspoken is one of the most frustrating things I can think of. Story 84. You do not have to come up with interesting questions or stories to keep the conversation going. A lot of the time, just repeating back what they said will prompt them to talk more. Yes, episode 1 of the show was great, but it kept getting worse. Wow, it fell off, huh? Yes, I hated how they shoved that one storyline in. Story 85, actually, I read this in an ancient Greek text. If people are crowding around you and you need space, start asking them for change. They will give you space quickly. Story 86. Basically, know when to talk to someone you have become friends with after you get to know them better. Story 87. My best friend is everyone's favorite person. I watched him interact with people for about 3 months and saved it. Now I play it back when I need to interact with people. I become him when I need to, and I develop instant people skills. Story 88. When one door is being used on a bank of doors, people line up to go through that door. Walk up and open a second door to skip the line. Story 89. The Fox News audience will believe anything they say. It does not matter how absurd it is, they accept it readily. It is wild to watch in action. Story 90. If you forget someone's name but are not in a position to admit it, say, sorry, your name is escaping me. When they say, "My name is Bob," you reply, "Bob, of course. I know your first name. I mean your surname. I can't for the life of me remember it," or some variation of that. This smooths out the awkwardness of forgetting names mid-conversation. Story 91. Try to position yourself at a 90-degree angle when discussing with someone. Facing directly is too confrontational, but being near each other and adjacent works well. Story 92. Listen to people. They will appreciate the attention. They will think that you are smart because they do not have to repeat themselves. They will tell you who they are and what they value. Story 93. Say someone's name when greeting them. People love hearing their name. It is an instant connection booster. Story 94. Sorry, I'm unable to access external links. Please provide the text you want me to process. Story 95. Opening a phone call with a cheerful, "Hello? How are you?" Shamelessly stolen from one of the most likable and successful salespeople I have ever worked with as a technician. Story 96. Their mood and mental state. I have always liked watching people and can now tell how they are based on how they walk and act. It helps a lot with knowing when to ignore them or when to be as kind as possible. Story 97. Okay, mine may seem kind of lame compared to the others, but I enjoy watching how people open the door. Is it self-opening, a push door, or a pull door? I am clumsy, and I have a terrible sense of direction. I appreciate clues on how to open the door, to be honest. It's like, yes, I push it. I feel so normal now. Story 98. There is no need to stop and read signs. You can follow a crowd to the exit or a transit point fairly reliably. Story 99. I find that many bad movies and shows are written under the assumption that average people are just meatheads who will never dream of understanding the dynamic nature of anxieties, insecurities, or even just the exhaustion brought about by a mundane workday. I think many people almost soothe themselves with this assumed difference as a way to compartmentalize their suffering into an interesting protagonist-like character trait. I used to do this myself. However, at some point at my lowest, I just started saying this stuff. Not massive things. You might get sent to human resources if you start talking about jumping off bridges, but smaller, more honest things. It almost seems to be a breath of fresh air to people. It feels like the critics of small talk have clearly never tried replying to a coworker's dreaded, "How's it going?" with "not too great," unless you immediately overwhelm them with the gruesome details of every insecurity you've ever had. I find most people use this as an opportunity to attempt to understand or empathize. People do not attend boring coworker university and will likely appreciate the chance to back up their inquiry, because the alternative is admitting that their question was a total lie. Whether out of kindness or vanity, nobody wants to feel two-dimensional, especially in the face of someone like you, who has the nerve to reply with anything other than good. Even if it comes from preconceived social manners or vanity, shallow people exist everywhere, and it is on them and them alone for being that way. This works beyond small talk, too. One day, I was at work having a conversation with a coworker, and it began to wrap up. We said, "Goodbye, see you tomorrow," and left. We left in different directions, but as I was about to leave the lobby and make my way to my Toyota, she walked into the lobby as well and was also on her way out at the same exact time as me. But we already said goodbye. What do we do? So I said, "Haha, I don't know how many goodbye Sallys I have left in me," and she laughed. Suddenly, this lame little awkward moment that made my heart race was extinguished. I used to think these little things I said were my attempts to gain some social edge, but I have come to understand them as tools that help me regulate. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.